Hey, this is Brian Aldrich from 4th Street Software. Today I'm going to show you a little bit about how to create a lineup in the 4th Street baseball game. So let's just pick a team here out of the blue. Let's go with Cleveland. This is for the 1960 season. And the lineup screen is right here, or the lineup tool is right here. If I click on that, it'll bring me to the lineup screen. And there are several pre-made lineups already here that come with the season that you purchased. This one has 4. And I can just click on any of those to go ahead and change it up and see what's there. Alright, you may have noticed even though a couple of these are named, they don't necessarily have any lineup associated with them. So let's associate them. So let's see, we've got lineup 1, it seems to be fine. Let's go to lineup 2. And if I look here, these are the active players that I activated with the team management tool. So back here, all these guys that are checked are the ones that are showing up in that list. They're the only ones that will show up in that list. So a player must be active in order to be included in a lineup. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and start putting a few guys in here. These are color coded a little bit along with some of the stats that you see. So if they are kind of a reddish color, that means they're infielders. Blue guys are pitchers. A yellowish color is a catcher, and green means an outfielder. So let's go ahead and put Gary Geiger as long as we got him in here. And I'm not real concerned about the lineup I'm making here as far as accuracy. Let's lead him off and we'll put him in left field. And you'll notice over here on the green playing field that Geiger is now positioned in left field. So it helps you get an idea where everybody is. Hank Foils is a catcher. If I hover a mouse over his name, I can see some of his stats. Foils batted .282, which isn't bad in only 56 games, so that's not bad. It's decent. Let's put him as the 7th player here, playing catcher. Jim Gilliam, looks like he was a starter, second baseman, must be a number 2 hitter here, so we'll put him in there. We'll put Pumpsy Green in at short, batting 5th. And then we'll go Norm Larker, first baseman, batting 3rd. And so on and so forth. You kind of get the idea. We'll put Julio Becer batting cleanup. And let's see, I guess we're going to have to put him at first base, and we'll move Larker over to something else. So if you don't remember what a guy plays, you can look back here or display his player card. So he played in left field a little bit, but I've already got Geiger in left. So let's put Larker in left and Geiger in center. And now we'll see Geiger appearing in center field there. And we can just continue on here. We'll put Wally Post in right field. And we need a third baseman yet. Let's see. I'm looking for somebody in pink. Pete Runnels is a pretty good player there. So we'll put him at third. Okay, now there's a use DH option here down at the bottom. In this particular season, the DH wasn't around yet, so I probably should not check that in. The name of this is versus left-handed pitcher 2. I'm going to change that. I'll just call it random lineup. And we'll hit the save key. And now you can see that name appears in this little drop-down box. If I want to switch to another team, I can do that just by going like that. Now I mentioned this DH checkbox here. We should go back to that a little bit. In the settings and preferences, there are all kinds of settings here, including how big the roster size is. So that's the active roster, I should say. The number of innings that you would play, of course it's 9. What type of fatigue system you'd like to use for your pitchers, whether that be an endurance, which is batters based on batters faced, or on pitch count. Pitch count is the default and probably the better one to use in most cases. You can go ahead and transfer all of those to every single team. So let's say that we've had a league mandate to increase roster size to 27. I would first go ahead and save that, and then I would go into all preferences, select each team that I want to have that affected by. Maybe I only want the American League and not the National League down here. And then I can click this transfer tool, which will farm out all of these to the particular teams in the league. I didn't actually save that. That's why it went back to 25. The game settings themselves are in this last tab, and it's got many things here that you should be aware of. Compile stats immediately after the game is a default setting. That way you can see what the stats are for each batter as it comes up. Delete stats file after compiling is by default not selected. It's not a good idea to do that in case you have to recompile for some reason. But also you wouldn't be able to see the box scores through the schedule makers I showed you. So you wouldn't be able to really get any of that records. The size of these files, the game stat files, are roughly 500 kilobytes, so they're not actually that large anyway. Use autoplace for fielders. That way you don't have to physically move them every time a new batter comes up. They'll just automatically move depending on what kind of pull rating the batter is. Automatically hold a runner at first. Sometimes you want to not hold them at first, but you can do that manually. More often than not, you would hold them at first. There's another one here called use schedule lineups when possible. And what that does is I've gone back and inserted the actual starting lineup and the starting pitchers for each of the days, as long as it wasn't a rained out game. So we use in 4th Street products the original schedule rather than the actual played schedule. So the original schedule might have a 3-game series, but if one of those games was rained out, excuse me, it actually wasn't played on the day that this 4th Street schedule is located. So for that reason, that particular game would not have a lineup or a pitcher announced ahead of time. So you would have to manually put those in or use the drop down as I was just showing you on the lineup screen. Display first names of batters. Sometimes the labels get a little bit tight there. It will resize as best it can to fit them in, but it doesn't always display exactly what you want, but typically you can use that. Display a fielder text box. It just shows you which fielder the ball was hit to and what its ratings are. And display pitcher text box, same thing except for the pitcher. Down here it tells you whether, if you do want the pitcher's box to be displayed, whether you want it near the pitcher on the diamond or on the right hand side. And that's about it as far as the settings are concerned. Okay, I'm going to move this back down there before I exit out. All right, and that is how you use the lineup screen.